Well, just yesterday on January 16, 2026, US President Donald Trump announced the formation of something he's calling the Board of Peace for Gaza. He chairs it himself and describes it as the greatest and most prestigious board ever assembled. This comes right after phase 1 of his US brokered ceasefire was held, with hostages released and major fighting paused since October 2025. Hello and welcome to Deep Dive. My name is Vineet Malhotra, and today we are breaking it down step by step as to what the committee actually is pertaining to Gaza, its members, and who the other key players are. Let's get right into it. Firstly, the Board of Peace is a high-level oversight body created to guide Gaza through phase 2 of Trump's comprehensive 20-point plan to end the Gaza conflict. This plan focuses on lasting peace, stability, massive reconstruction and prosperity after more than 2 years of devastating war that left much of Gaza in ruins. Backed by UN Security Council Resolution 2803 from late 2025, the board has a legal mandate to supervise the transition at least through the end of 2027. Its big jobs include strategic oversight on governance building, attracting global investment, mobilizing huge funding for rebuilding homes, infrastructure, schools, hospitals, you name it, managing regional relationships and supporting demilitarization like disarming Hamas and rolling out an international stabilization force led by US Major General Jasper Jeffers. Day-to-day running of Gaza goes to a separate 15-member Palestinian technocratic group called the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, or NCAG. This is headed by Gaza native and former Palestinian Authority official Dr. Ali Shahat, a high representative, former UN Middle East envoy Nikolay Mladenov, and links the two on the ground. Well, Trump's vision turn Gaza into a rebuilt, terror-free zone with a possible credible path to Palestinian self-determination. If things go right, its US-heavy blending is inner circle with international heavyweights, and more members could be added soon. Now let's take a look at who are the members of this elaborate Gaza Peace Committee. The founding executive board consists of 7 members chaired by President Trump himself, as announced by the White House on the 16th of January. 2026. It includes U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio for top diplomatic leadership and foreign policy alignment, Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law and longtime Middle East advisor who drove the Abraham Accords in his first term, bringing continuity on regional peace efforts and Gulf relationships, Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy to the Middle East and a close ally from the real estate world who's been central to the on-ground negotiations and ceasefire implementation. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, an ex-Quartet Middle East envoy, adding significant international diplomatic experience despite controversy over his past roles. Ajay Banga, the current president of the World Bank Group, who is officially one of the 7 founding members. Mark Rowan, billionaire CEO of Apollo Global Management and a Trump ally, contributing private investment and capital expertise. And Robert Gabriel, U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor in the Trump administration, providing national security and White House policy coordination. Supporting the board are figures like Nikolay Mladenov, serving as High Representative for Gaza to handle on-ground liaison work, plus senior advisors such as Aryeh Lightstone, CEO of the Abraham Accords Peace Institute, and Josh Gruenbaum. There's also a broader Gaza executive board that overlaps with some of these names and adds regional representatives from places like Turkey, Qatar, Egypt and the UAE for wider international support. Now let's take a closer look at one of the more interesting people in the committee, Mr. Ajay Banga. Ajay Banga, heading the World Bank Group, was selected for his deep expertise in global finance, economic development and large-scale infrastructure funding, exactly what's needed for Gaza's enormous post-war reconstruction. After more than 2 years of conflict, the territory faces tens of billions in costs just for rubble clearance, rebuilding homes, infrastructure, schools, hospitals, jump-starting the economy. The White House notes that each board member oversees a defined portfolio covering areas like governance, building regional relationship, reconstruction, investment, and large-scale funding and capital mobilization. Banga's focus is squarely on the economic side, helping unlock multilateral loans, grants, private sector investments and coordinated international donor support. His World Bank role brings institutional credibility and access to development resources far beyond US bilateral aid, signaling a serious long-term commitment to turning post-war Gaza into a stable, prosperous place. In summary, this board mixes top diplomats, family and close advisors, financial powerhouses, and global names to drive reconstruction under strong US oversight. And there's momentum and praise for progress, but also debate about the composition and Palestinian sovereignty implications. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee. Ambassador Mukherjee, appreciate you being here with us. Well, the intention is quite good here, but we are talking about the right to self-governance for Palestine here. How are these people going to be instrumental when not too many Palestinians are involved?
Actually, Vineet, you have put your finger on the problem. There is nothing wrong in principle in the reconstruction of Gaza or the setting up of a high-level advisory board, etc. But normally such things are always done in the multilateral system through the UN Security Council, etc. There used to be an organization, it still exists, it's called the UNRWA, which used to look after Gaza. There are a lot of people who have a lot of expertise and who are acceptable to both Israel and Gaza. They have been left out. A lot of countries acceptable to both Israel and Gaza, for instance, India, that has been left out. But more than that, there seems to be an overwhelming American over-representation in the smaller and more powerful board, which is being chaired by the President of the United States of America. That is quite unprecedented. The President of the United States of America, President of the world's most powerful country, is not supposed to be chairing these kind of committees, not at all. There is no serving president on this committee, there's no serving prime minister on this committee. The former Prime Minister Tony Blair did have a troubled relationship earlier on this issue and stepped down, I understand, around 2015. So as I said, in principle, Ajay Banga, for instance, seems to be a good choice with World Bank, etc. But have the Palestinians been consulted? Clearly, the Israelis must have been consulted. But more than that, I would say that the Palestinians and their immediate neighbors, plus those who are acceptable to both sides, should have been consulted before setting up such a board. It's not clear to me also what exactly is the mandate of this board and what is going to happen if phase 2 of the ceasefire does not take place. Thirdly, it talks about disarming Hamas. Who is going to do that? This little small board cannot do it. So does it mean that the Americans want to send in troops on the ground to physically disarm Gaza, which the Israelis have not been able to do? What would happen if the Hamas says that they have not fulfilled all the conditions and that it's not safe for them to disarm? Then what happens? And the Palestinians who have been chosen in the technocratic group, have the Palestinians been consulted? Are they in agreement with the choice of people in that group? So this reminds one of the kind of authority that used to be set up in imperial and colonial times by the colonizer, for instance, to supervise the ceasefire, to bring peace, etc. It doesn't have anything of what we call representativeness, and it's not clear on whether this particular deal will be acceptable and will it at all be safe for all these people to start these projects if Hamas refuses to disarm. Then what happens? In my opinion, it would have been better to have first implemented phase 2, which was the complete disarmament of Hamas, if at all that was possible, which has not yet happened, before moving into this phase. And in this phase, it should be a representative proposal which should be put to both sides, and both sides should agree to cooperate so that it can work. Otherwise, I'm sorry, but I can't accept that Gaza is a piece of real estate to be rebuilt with American and World Bank funds. And in which case, who owns Gaza then?
You're quite right about that, ma'am. You're quite right about that. And Donald Trump also spoke about turning Gaza into a location like Las Vegas. But if that's the intention, then obviously the problem is never going to end. We've run out of time, ma'am. Appreciate you being here with us and sharing your perspective. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.